All right. Welcome to a special edition of the Damon Bruce Show. It is great to have you here. We are looking at Tuesday, November 28th, and we are in Eagles week. And because of that, we want to get inside of that team, inside of that locker room. And when you're going inside of Philadelphia, there's only one man to talk to listen to, and that is John Kincade of 97.5, The Fanatic. But beyond that, I've known John for at least 4 or 5 radio lifetimes, and it is good to see you, brother. How are you?
It's good to see you too, and I am. What am I? 2 weeks cancer free today.
Man,
so
that is
from the day I got told that I was cancer free. So 3 times survivor.
That's wonderful news.
I was told by a doctor back in Atlanta when I had 2 cancers down there. He said, "Don't Google 3-time cancer survivor because the numbers aren't good." And it was so funny because it was in my head the whole time. Not funny, but it was in my head the whole time. This is going to be a battle, but it came out victorious. And now I think it's because I'm supposed to be in Vegas to see the Eagles win a Super Bowl.
Ooh.
That's why I think. It's one of 2 things. God either thought I had more to do on this earth, or he said, "I want no parts of him. He's annoying as hell." So it's one of the 2, and it could be either one. I mean, the odds on my sports betting app say it's at -175. He wanted no parts of me.
Well, look, I'll lay the action with you, brother, anytime, because
Thank you, buddy.
You beat it all. You're surviving, and the only thing I can do other than tell you how happy I am about all that, that'll make you feel better, that'll feed your ego more than that, is you were right about Kapler. Took us a few years to figure that out, but you were right about Kapler, John.
I'm right. Yeah, Gabe and his coconut oil and his eating ice cream and then spitting it out. He's just a kook. But he's a good man. He's a good man and a good person. But I honestly don't think he could lead a bachelor party to a strip club. And I think it took you guys a while to figure out because he's all sunshine and lollipops. He's all positivity, and nobody's used to that. But then at some point you realize the emperor has no clothes. And for Gabe Kapler, he likes to have as little clothes on as possible.
You see, Sunshine and Lollipop sells a little bit better on the West Coast than it does back East. And then he dropped that 107-win season, which was
fantastic.
Aberration. Wasn't supposed to happen, but it did happen, and that's why baseball's nuts. But you were right about Kapler, and you've been right about so many things in Philadelphia sports. And whenever it's Bay Area, Philly, you're the only guy that I can think of that I would want to talk to. Let's start with something really basic. You take this in any direction you want, brother. In your mind, why are the Eagles 10-1?
The Eagles are 10-1 because they have a veteran locker room. They have a perfect mix of spectacular young talent, spectacular veteran talent that has already won a Super Bowl and been to others. And they have the middle ground guys that are dragged along that are, you're going to do things the Eagles way, and we're going to do things this way, and this is how we play, this is how we practice. I'll give you an example. Jordan Davis last year came to the Eagles from the University of Georgia. He was supposed to be this big run stuffer and everything like that. He didn't really make a huge impact last year. He was playing roughly 18, 20 snaps a week, and you expected more out of your 16th pick. Well, Nick Sirianni talked about it yesterday. He's gotten in great shape. He's done everything that they've told him to do. But the behind-the-scenes story is Fletcher Cox, literally on a daily basis, is emailing him, texting him, calling him first thing in the morning. What are you doing today? We have an off day. What are you doing today? What are you doing to get better? So they have veterans that literally sit on the young players because they say to them, we're going to help you get paid. And that motivates anybody, especially those of us in radio.
Who's responsible for setting this tone with the veterans? Is it Howie Roseman from the top? Is it Sirianni? Or like you said, a handful of players like Fletcher Cox who just said, this is my job at this point in my career. I'm not who I quite used to be on the football field, so I'm going to make up for that by being the ultimate team leader.
Correct. It's Fletcher Cox. It's Brandon Graham. It's Jason Kelce. It's Lane Johnson. Those 4 right there are sort of like the group that literally leads the young players. But that locker room, it's tight, Damon. Like Debo yesterday. I'm hearing Debo, going off about the Eagles. In the Eagles locker room, it's going to be unless you're a big time veteran like a Darius Slay, those younger players will be just put your head down, go to work, and keep things going. I admire it. Sirianni has a great locker room. He's created an incredible chemistry here with players. And I got to tell you, his first press conference, I was ready to go, oh my gosh, they hired Ted frickin' Lasso. But he's been incredible. And it's crazy because all the veterans bought into Sirianni and they carry the water for him. They deliver his message. They police for him. It's been amazing because I questioned the hire. I was like, who is this guy? What is his accomplishments? But very much like I questioned Doug Peterson's hire and I questioned Andy Reid's hire back in 1999. Just because you don't know somebody doesn't mean that the people who do know football and Jeffrey Lurie knows how to hire good coaches. I mean, he just does it. Even Chip Kelly, which was a failed experiment. Chip won 10 games his first 2 years, and we can't stand Chip here. It just never fit in at all. So you talk about Philly people, he didn't fit in.
So outside of the 49ers, I don't think that there's a team whose I've seen more snaps of than the Eagles. I've had my eye on them all year. Right. They've been fascinating. I love watching them play. They play the right way. They play the brand of football that I admire. Just dominant on the line of scrimmage, talent everywhere around the line of scrimmage. They're an awful lot of fun to watch, and they're in a dogfight each and every week, and they come out on top. And knowing how to win a close game is an attribute that's foolish to say, well, they're not blowing teams out, so therefore they're not quite whatever. No. Winning tight game after tight game against quality opponent is part of winning DNA, and they've got a lot of it. On the other side of that coin, though, what's the weakness, John? What's the one thing that keeps you as a talk show host and Phillies fans up at night, and they think, well, there's the blind spot. That's the incomplete on this team?
Well, everyone keeps telling me they're 10-1. And I tend to be very much have a critical eye, but this team is hard to, discredit. They're awesome in so many ways. They're 5-0 against winning teams. All the winning teams they've played, they're 5-0. So that's good. But what I don't like is every single week I've heard from Nick Sirianni or Jaylen Herz or somebody telling me, we haven't played our best game yet. You don't want to be, and the talking point in October was, you don't want to be playing your best ball in October. You want to have stuff to work on. Well, guess what? Sunday afternoon, I'm going to be in the stands. It's my annual Eagles daddy-daughter game, and my oncologist says I can go. And nice. I'm going to go sit in the stands. I will be 8 rows behind off the field in the end zone, and we're going to have a great time. It is, to me, it's December, though. I haven't seen them say – they keep saying, we haven't played our best game yet. We still have things to work on and everything. It's 11 games in. I'm freaking impatient. They're the NFC champions. And I expected it to be more like last year where they got out to leads and then unleashed the defense and they boat raced people. I expected a little more of that. But honestly, they're scoring 1/10 of a point more at the 11-game mark than they were last year. It makes no sense. But they just know how to win, Damon. But they can't put 4 quarters together. They have not put 4 quarters together in any game this year except Miami. And they dominated. The Dolphins came in with a lot of talk and they dominated them.
True or false, Jaylen Herz is already the best quarterback in franchise history?
I'm leaning towards true, but I have too much respect for Donovan McNabb yet to say that I'm just going to give him that. If I have a sample size of an extra 20 games, I think I'll join you on that one. I certainly think it's trending that way. Jaylen Herz the big thing is, though, is something he is the best. He's the best quarterback leader the organization's ever had. He's amazing. He is, everybody stands behind him and walks behind him and talks like him and listens to him. And, he was brainwashed by Saban. I mean, he was put through that Saban, program, which is very much like being caught in a Southern cult.
And he ended it humbly. I mean, it ended on a humble note, which is really good for a young player, I think.
What was really cool is he wanted to, and he stayed because he wanted to stay there. He wanted to finish his degree. And then he knew he could potentially transfer the next year because he would completed the degree. And then the weird thing was, he gets taken out of the national championship game the year before, and he comes back to bail their butts out in the SEC title game. So he's an amazing guy. He's just he's robotic. So I have a hard time understanding, sort of relating to him because he's just like totally even keel. And it's purposeful. It's not. People are like, it's who he is. Yeah. He's got a little of that Kobe Bryant type of assassin mentality, outworking everybody and everything. But I got to tell you, it's by design, the way he speaks, the way he leads.
So he's wildly talented.
Yes.
whenever he struggles, maybe in that passing game just a little, look at it this way. He might be the best quarterback in team history. He's definitely one of the 10 best running backs in team history already. This guy scores touchdowns in bunches on the ground. It's like Tebow in the SEC.
Yeah.
He's one of the best goal line backs there is.
Well, the tush push is incredible. And it's so funny to hear people scream and cry that it's not a football play. It's absolutely a football play. And it's because you have a dominant offensive line and you got the quarterback, and everybody hears it too much, who has squatted 600 pounds. I mean, he's a beast. And so that lower body is so strong, you can't fight it. But to me, it's the idea that Damon, he gives you so many things you have to think about as a defensive coordinator. And I don't think, from watching the 49ers this year, their defensive coordinator is going to be like, well, we can't come up with a plan. I know your team is going to come with a really, really good plan. And it's absolutely the best team the Eagles will face this year.
It really feels like the game that we were all promised in the NFC title game that couldn't happen because of the injury to Purdy. And I've seen, there's a little static, like some Eagles are talking about, like, oh, the 49ers are crying and boo-hoo. No, they really weren't. They were just bringing up the fact it totally sucks to lose your starting quarterback in the first quarter of an NFC title game, which it does.
Well, I would tell Kyle Shanahan, who I know from his days in Atlanta, I would tell Kyle it was his mistake to not have appropriate blocking for a guy like Hassan Reddick, who was one of the number one sack guys in the NFL last year. That's on Kyle Shanahan. And that's something the Eagles did. And when I hear people go, well, our quarterback got hurt. No, the Eagles hurt your quarterback because your head coach didn't have proper protection in. How many quarterbacks if you count the NFC title game, how many quarterbacks did he get hurt last year? 4? I mean, that's a Kyle Shanahan thing. That's a Kyle Shanahan thing that I even watched back in Atlanta. Matt Ryan was getting sacked left and right. Kyle Shanahan is a brilliant offensive mind. I think he's the best play caller in football. I really do. I think he's one of the most creative minds, and I think he has a brilliant just mind of being able to throw out of run formations, run out of passing formations. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. But protecting his quarterback, the Eagles did that. The Eagles dominated the San Francisco offensive line and knocked 2 quarterbacks out of the game. That's not something that was unlucky or whatever. No, it was you were dominated, and that's what they've never acknowledged. And also, too, when I hear Debo, oh, we were clearly the better team. Bull crap. If you were clearly the better team, you would have been hosting the NFC title game. Bottom line. I mean, it's well, we think we're better. Well, you know what? I know this. The Eagles would never lose 3 games in a row under any circumstances. This Eagles team isn't losing 3 games in a row. So when I keep hearing all the chatter, I'm like, what's going on? The Eagles have lived rent-free in the 49ers' heads, and they continue to live there. And it's not happening here. We're not getting I said this morning, where's the crosstalk? Where's the debate? Like, where are the Eagles firing back? No. They're just like, okay. And I do think, by the way, it's totally rational for the Eagles to be underdogs to the 49ers. Like, I think it's totally rational. Because just look at the numbers across the board. The 49ers have been a team that is more likely to pay 4 quarters. The 49ers have been a team that has been, I think, when they win, it's much more, they just come out and they sort of impose their will. And we saw a lot of that from the Eagles last year. But I'll say it again. There isn't any 3-game stretch in the schedule where the Eagles would lose 3 games in a row against anybody. And the Eagles have now they called it the gauntlet earlier. The Dallas, the Buffalo, the Chiefs. This is a really, really tough team to beat. Not saying the 49ers can't do it, because if anybody can do it, it's the 49ers. I think they're the absolute most dangerous team in either league to the Eagles. I think these are the 2 best teams in football, to me, that are going to be meeting on Sunday.
I do too. I mean, I think we're
looking. You're the same way?
Yeah, I do. I don't think that there's an AFC team that is necessarily better than either of these teams. There's always there's a handful of teams, and it's a small handful of teams this year that can beat anyone. But in that small handful, it really feels like the Eagles and Niners are sitting on a line that no one else has reached. Not the Cowboys, not the Chiefs, not the Dolphins, not the Ravens. Maybe the Ravens. We'll find out more
as the
season goes along. So with all the talk that you've had with guys who have covered this team going back a couple of years, Have you got any inside information about Jason Kelce Hargrave practice battles that might tip the hand to what could happen on the line of scrimmage? Because this game gets decided in the trenches, like all football games, but this one even more so. And to me, Kelce's just looking a little tired in the last few games. I think the Eagles they're going through a bit of fatigue. They played overtimes. They've just had a lot of snaps on their defensive bodies over the last couple of games. Kelce, he just doesn't look quite like himself. I know Lane Johnson is a little banged up right now. What is the status of this offensive line? And beyond that, any inside dope on Hargrave, Kelce, former battles that we should know about?
Well, I can tell you, and I don't get to attend practice often, but I can tell you that the respect that Jason Kelce spoke of Hargrave was high. So if that's any measure of it, I can't tell you like these two going against each other. I know this. Hargrave had his career year last year, but he's a tremendous player. He was tremendous here. He did a great job. He came in here and he really stabilized things. And thankfully, though, the Eagles end up getting Jaylen Carter with the 9th pick. And he is literally a public menace. He is defensive rookie of the year. No one's going to come close. He's been amazing. But what I can tell you is
the guy in Dallas who could come close.
Defensive rookie of the year? No, I don't think they're giving it to a corner, that they're going to give it to Jaylen Carter, who is literally how about this? He is statistically of everything. I think they said the other day, he's double what Aaron Donald was in his rookie year. And I think they're going to value that more because disrupting the quarterback is what it's all about. But to me, I'm looking at this as far as the offensive line. I expect Lane Johnson to play. He popped scar tissue from last year's surgery. So he just popped scar tissue. He had inflammation. I believe there is zero chance that Lane Johnson is missing the game on Sunday. So that's one thing. Second of all, and by the way, when the Eagles don't have Lane Johnson, it's a problem. I literally will light candles at church that he doesn't retire at the end of the year, because I do think Kelce's retiring at the end of the year either way. And then I think that Lane Johnson's probably maybe 2 more years, maybe 1 more year, maybe 2 more years. So this offensive line is very stable. Kelce, though, you talk about that, is I'm going to put a conspiracy theory out there. The other day, he had the two false starts that ended up making it a 59-yard field goal in a series. I think he had to go to the bathroom. And I floated that on the air. I think he had to go number 2. And I think that's why he went right after that was done. He went quickly to the locker room. I think he had to go to the bathroom. And Damon, you're sitting on, what's it out there? I'm trying to think, is it the 5? The highway or something? You're sitting in traffic or whatever?
101.5, absolutely.
Okay, you're sitting in traffic. You're sitting in traffic. You have to go to the bathroom. I'm getting twitchy, too. I'm not able to not have a false start either. I mean, I may have had a worse ending. But I think that was part of it, because on the game-winning touchdown against the Bills, it was literally sprung by, first of all, brilliant play design, and Kyle Shanahan would have loved it. And second of all, Kelce's block sprung absolutely. He just cemented the guy, and that sprung Jaylen Herz for the touchdown. So it's going to be a great game on Sunday. I mean, I have such respect for the 49ers. I respect it. And from knowing Kyle a little bit in his time in Atlanta, I respect him. Even though he lost the playbook the week of the Super Bowl at the Super Bowl media night, which I don't understand how you could possibly do that. And I also know he's a put the towels out at the pool guy and then go home and come back later. And that always is a no-no to me.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
That's inside information on Shanahan.
I like this.
He's a pool guy. He's a guy that when he was in Atlanta, go to the pool, put their towels out, and then go home and come back 2 hours later. And that's a no-no. That tells me he deserves to lose on Sunday.
Oh, my goodness.
Just on that alone. Just on that alone.
Between the Kelce bathroom trip, the lounge chairs, I mean, it really is. This is the poo-poo platter.
This is inside information. I mean,
from John Kincade.
This is why you listen to Damon Bruce and nobody else.
Niners got a big chip on their shoulder to win this game. Does Philadelphia have a big chip on its shoulder to win this game? I mean, there can be kind of downplaying a rivalry, if that's what we're talking about here. Maybe that undoes. Look, there are 2 things that the 49ers really have going for them. A few extra days to prepare.
That's big. 3 days.
Yeah.
That's big.
and the motivation, the real motivation to go in and set what they think is the record straight after losing an NFC title game. I think the Niners got that going for them. Beyond 10-1 and home field, what do the Eagles got going for them in this game?
I think the fact is that I believe the Eagles' defensive front will win the battle against the 49ers' offensive line. Brock Purdy does this way too much, where he turns his back. I have no idea what he's doing, but I have a lot of respect for the guts that young man has. He's a gutsy guy. Now, I've heard some things, and I've read some things out of San Francisco that Brock Purdy in the rain you don't want. And it looks like it's going to rain. You want the rain on Sunday? I'll do a rain dance all week if Brock Purdy sucks in the rain, because that's what I'm seeing from people is that Brock Purdy in the rain, people don't like him as much in the rain throwing the football. Oh, I'm going to do the rain dance for Sunday afternoon. I
don't think we've seen enough games of him in the rain to make any definitive statement about what he is or isn't in the rain.
Well, the one thing I would say is, and I think it works, is that I believe the Eagles will win the defensive front against their offensive line. I think the Eagles have the better quarterback in the game that is more likely to make the clutch plays and to win games for his team. But I think that's based on experience, by the way. I'm not taking a shot at Purdy because I really do respect what he's accomplished. But I also think, too, when one team circles the game on the calendar and makes it their regular season Super Bowl and the other team does not have it that way, I think that's usually a danger spot for the team that built up too much into it. And I think that is going to be – I think the Eagles win a hard-fought game on Sunday. Really hard-fought game. Like a 23-20 type of thing that it's going to be a bare-knuckle brawl. And the 49ers are going to bring will bring their A game.
It should be a great game. There's no doubt.
It should be.
I'm glad that we got a chance to talk to you about this, John. We're early enough in the week where if people watch this, I hate when we do a Friday interview and then – people who might be traveling to the game have already made their plans. It's early enough in the week where any Niner fan who's traveling to Philadelphia for this game, here is the list of John Kincade do's and don'ts. Let's start with actually going to their first game at the Link. A list of do's and don'ts for Niners fans who are going.
Okay, here's this. And I saw one radio show out of San Francisco that was like, we were treated terribly. Look, if you're going to the game, just be low key. Be low key. And I mean, you don't have to be Niner hat, Niner jersey, Niner thing. And then when you're scoring, you're celebrating where you're in the middle of an Eagles section. Just be low key. Cheer for your team, whatever. Nobody's going to give you a problem if you're not looking to in your face type of thing with the fans. Because at that point, well, you're on your own. That's all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you at that point. You are on your own.
Restaurant scene do's and don'ts. The city's so much more than a cheesesteak. Set the record straight.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. Every San Francisco fan who's visiting, it's called the Reading Terminal Market. It's spelled like reading, but it's the Reading Terminal Market. Think of the Seattle Marketplace, but totally indoors. It's literally a 3-block area of dining and snacks and stuff that you can go eat. You can go pick up food. It's awesome. Great stuff. You'll have a blast. You can do breakfast there. You can do lunch there, whatever. You can't do dinner. Breakfast and lunch, it'll be closed. Dinner, see if you can get a reservation for Ralph's. Reservation for Ralph's in South Philly. But your early listeners of this week will have a better chance to do it. It is the oldest family restaurant in the country of any kind. And it's got the historical marker out front to prove it. The Italian food's amazing. You'll absolutely love it. My mom liked it. My wife will sometimes say, the service isn't really big. They're more like, no, sit down. You're sitting in mama's house. They're feeding you your food. So you don't look like that. That's always good. So I think those are two really good spots. Everyone's going to tell you for a sports bar, Chickies and Pete's, which is great. If you find a PJ Wellahans, they're great too.
The really aggressive tattoo guy he's like the city's mascot at this point.
His name's Dunphy.
With the Philly Fanatic around his belly button and the blowhole. What is that guy's story? Should we be rooting for him or against him?
I think you should be rooting for him. He's really a fun guy. He really is a nice guy. He's out there. And the thing is,
clearly,
in Philly, out there works. I mean, it works. He works with some local casinos and does stuff and everything. And he is a fun character. But more importantly, he's just a guy who's there to have a sort of a joyous event. And I guarantee if there's a San Francisco tailgate, he'll come by, sample the food, and maybe have a little beverage with you. Real good dude. Real good dude.
I'm guessing the Phillies don't want to see Bruce Bochy in another dugout anytime soon.
Oh my gosh. I swear to you, is that how was Bruce Bochy on his back deck or around a pool for a couple years? He's always been a great manager. And it's just, he's such a spectacular guy to talk baseball with too. He's amazing. And I can't believe the way the season went either. So, it's just for the Phillies to lose to Arizona. I mean, seriously, give me a break. I can't get over it. And 2 years in a row, it happened the same way. They were up 2-1 in the World Series last year. Bats went dead for 3 games. This year, up 3-2 coming home for Game 6 and Game 7, and the bats go dead again. That's inexcusable. It's absolutely inexcusable, and it still pisses me off. And I don't thank you, Damon, for bringing that up, because I've sort of gotten over it a little bit. But, with all the joy of surviving cancer, but surviving a Philly season sometimes is just as aggravating.
Tell everyone what you're doing tonight.
I will be at the Flyers game tonight versus the Carolina Hurricanes. And the Flyers it's the Hockey Fights Cancer night. And the Flyers have invited my wife and I out, and we are going to the game. And they're going to be a special. They say the press release says they're honoring me in game, and then I'm getting a special gift. Well, David, they had me a special gift. I mean, at that point, I'm in. But the general manager of the team, the president of the team, Keith Jones, he was longtime sports radio host here in Philadelphia, and retired from that to do this. And so we're going to have dinner before the game. It's going to be a really nice night. People are being so kind, and I can't wait to have Damon Bruce hair back, because I feel like I've got like the Julius Caesar cut going on right now. But at least I have no bald spots or anything, and it's all coming back. I'm a very blessed man.
It looked good.
And people's kindness has been absolutely amazing from all over the country. Even people out in Northern California and Southern California who maybe used to catch stuff on the network. So kind. People are so amazing with the support, and I love all of them. And when you check in on me too, that was always very kind too, and I always appreciate that.
Look, you put it out in the world, and then when you need it, it comes back to you. And you've always been a guy who's been a positive person. You've been friendly. You've been approachable, and you're a real person in a sea of fake bullshit artists, especially dotting our sports radio industry. Mm-hmm. You're a real one, John Kincade. I'm lucky to know you. I am so happy that your health has taken a turn for the better, and let's keep it in that direction. Thanks for joining us for a little Eagles preview. We couldn't have done it without you, brother.
And you got to join me later in the week, so you got that coming. So
I get an early wake up. I'll just get the coffee ready to go, and Tuesday? We're doing Thursday.
Thursday at 9 a.m., so it's 6 a.m., and people can listen at 97.5thefanatic.com, but we will also podcast it, because the Damon Bruce, joining us is worth podcasting for our audience, so it'll be out there too, and you can watch our YouTube channel and do that too. I'll find a flattering picture of you.
Please do.
There's plenty of
between. You have the lettuce archaeologist to find one.
The lettuce is still looking great, though.
Thank you, brother.
Right,
great to see you, John.
Have a wonderful day.
There he is, John Kincade, breaking down the Eagles, getting you ready, and I will be continuing getting you ready when we wrap around to a normally scheduled Damon Bruce show at 11 a.m. It's coming up a little bit later, but if you're watching this, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're getting closer and closer to 10,000 subscribers, and I thank all of you. I thank John Kincade for his time, and we'll have much more for you throughout this week. It is Eagles week for the 49ers, and it doesn't get much bigger than that. Sports don't build character, they reveal it.